Estamos aquí con el Chief Experience Officer de Ledger, Ian, y bueno, vamos a platicar un poco porque acaban de sacar nuevos productos que están bastante bonitos. Ian, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? Look at where we are.
Yeah, amazing. Estamos aquí en la bahía de Singapur en Token 2049. And I wanted to ask you, Ian, can you tell us a little bit first, so people can know you a little bit about yourself, your experience, and how you got into Ledger?
Sure. My name's Ian Rogers. I'm American, but I live in Paris. I did digital music business from Los Angeles for 20 years, working with bands like the Beastie Boys, but also I did a little MP3 player called Winamp in the late 90s, Yahoo Music, Beats Music, Apple Music. And then I moved over to Paris to work for actually a company that owns this building right here, LVMH. And that was amazing. And while I was in Paris, I met the team that makes Ledger. My background is computer science. I'm a geek. I love futuristic. I love thinking about what comes next, not what's behind us. And to me, Ledger, we have this new thing in our lives, which is digital ownership. And if digital ownership, then self-custody, right? If not self-custody, why crypto, really? I'm not trying to be involved in like another bank. I believe in a bankless future. But if you're going to have that and you're going to have self-custody, then you have to have security. And Ledger has, the best security experts and the best security architecture. The challenge is that crypto is pretty hard to use. So how do you make crypto something that my sister could use? Not something that me or you could do, but you need secure self-custody that an average person could use. So that's where Pascal from Ledger brought me in as the Chief Experience Officer, which is kind of a funny title, but the idea is when you buy an iPhone, you're not buying a piece of hardware. You're buying, blue bubbles instead of green bubbles, right? You're buying an experience. You're buying an ecosystem. You're buying an app store and, everything that goes with it. And that's really the challenge with Ledger, is building an experience, because if you're doing something with crypto, you're not in a little box. You're interfacing with a dApp. You're interfacing, your value is out there on the blockchain. So you need block explorers and you need to be able to see what your value is. And when you transact, you're transacting on chain, not in device. So you've got to put an experience around that. And that's what we try to do at Ledger, is to take all of the complexity of digital ownership and put it into a package which is never compromising on security or self-custody. You can't. These are things that people constantly want to compromise on, and that's just dumb. It leads to the kind of damage that we saw in 2022. So that's me, and that's what we're trying to do.
Nice. So in summary, you would say that you're focusing on making the user experience as best as possible and as easy as possible?
Yeah, our challenge is to make the user experience best possible without ever compromising on security or self-custody. Every bull run, you've got a lot of people they're going to explain to you why they're compromising on security, self-custody, or both. And it usually involves the phrase onboarding the masses. And then it usually leads to what we saw in 2022, right? And that's not possible. Again, if not self-custody, why crypto? And if self-custody, then you have to have security. You can't have, possession of your own value and have it insecurely. So that's the challenge. How do you make it easy to use? So if you look at Ledger Stacks, which is our new device, this was designed by Tony Fadell, who designed the iPod and is the co-inventor of the iPhone, right? And Tony is uncompromising when it comes to user experience. So the challenge is, how do you take Tony's very high standards of user experience and in user expectations, and then marry that with the very high expectations of the Ledger team around security and self-custody. So that's the challenge. And you're always it's one step forward at a time. You know what I mean? You can't take 10 steps at once, but that's what we're doing day after day, is just putting one foot in front of the other and trying to make the experience better without compromising on security or self-custody.
Nice. What can you tell us about this new device? Like, What would you say is like the main difference from like the classic ledgers to these ones with like a larger screen? Like, it looks beautiful. It's the first time I see it, so people can see a little bit. What would you say makes it different, makes it special?
Well, the difference really is the screen. There's the architecture is the same. We are, an open development environment based on smart card technology, so secure element technology. It's actually, really a superior architecture to any other hardware wallet that's out there, because the key generation, cryptographic operations are all done inside of the smart card. And the magic trick is that this beautiful screen is run from the same chip that's inside your credit card or your passport. But we can load your Bitcoin app or your Solana app or whatever app you would like into this device, and use where the smart card that's in your credit card protects the secrets of the bank. The smart card that's in your ledger protects your secrets, the secrets of the individual. And that's really, to me, that's freedom technology. But what these do differently from the Ledger Nanos, which we've sold 7 million of, is just have a much better user experience. So there's a Ledger Stacks and the Ledger Flex. They are largely the same. They have one other key difference from the Ledger Nanos, though, and that is that they have NFC as well. And that's useful because we've added an application now called Security Key. So you can now also use your Ledger to protect your logins. So the same way you would use a second factor key, you can use your Ledger as that second factor for 2FA, passkeys, that sort of thing. So and there's NFC in it, so you can literally just tap it on the back of your phone and log in. Usually when you get more security, it's more difficult to use. Like even logging into my Google account is like, okay, I go into 1Password, I copy, I paste, then I go to Google Authenticator and I get my OTP and I write that in. With this, it's just punch in my PIN code, tap it on the back of my phone, I'm in. And that's amazing. You actually get more security and more user experience. Those two things don't usually go together. So the NFC chip in here is actually another big thing that the Ledger Nanos don't have, so that you can use this as your 2FA device. Which, if you think about it, there's roughly 400, 500 million people in crypto. There's 5.4 billion smartphones on planet Earth, right? There are 5.4 billion people who have a login problem, a password management problem. Google, Apple, etc., are all pushing the idea of passwordless, passkeys, but it's not very secure to do that only on your phone. So if you're doing that, with your Ledger, you have, the great you have this problem solved, which is password management, but with a higher level of security than you could get from your iPhone or your Android phone.
No, that's amazing, I think, because you don't have to have two devices, one for the two-factor authentication and then for your wallet. So, and what can you tell us about, you just launched this, so it came out to the market, I think 1 month ago, finally. Mm-hmm. What's beyond this? Any plans? What can you tell us about the roadmap for Ledger in the next months or years?
Yeah, we have a ton of stuff going on. So you're right, the big deal for us this year was getting these devices into market. This device was very difficult because of this curved e-ink touchscreen. We launched this one in July at Bitcoin Nashville, and now we have both of them in market. You can go to ledger.com and buy either one. Okay, so now that it's like there's the iPhone, and then there's all the apps on the iPhone. That's kind of our roadmap as well. We've got our devices out. Now we're really focused on the functionality of the devices and the applications of the devices. So clear signing is a big thing for us. People in the world of DeFi, etc., are all the time signing blank checks. They're signing transactions without knowing what the hell they're signing. Mm-hmm. That's absolute madness, and we're fixing that. So we're working really with the industry on this clear signing initiative that we announced back in December. We've been talking about it at ETH Denver, ETHCC, here at Token 2049. And we have kind of rolling thunder on rolling that out and rolling it out with all kinds of partners, not only for Ledger, but with Recibe, with MetaMask, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a really big thing. It's a big undertaking, and it will do a lot to keep the ecosystem safe. So maybe that's a little techie, but it's super important, right? Think about all of these transactions that are done every day with blind signing. That is honestly madness, ridiculous madness. So fixing that is a big one for us. We have a white paper that we're announcing hopefully this week about some other new features which are really amazing for the whole industry. We want not only security but also privacy. So the question is, how do you make your Datable portable but only available to you? So that's something that we're announcing this week. And then we have other things that we're working on for next year. We're always working with blockchains and foundations on new functionality. We're super excited. We're with Magic Eden tonight. We're announcing a partnership with them. We're at Solana Breakpoint tomorrow and the next day, and we're working hard with Solana and the Solana ecosystem on bringing everything that Solana offers to Ledger. So SPL, token support, everything, bringing all of that to Ledger. And then if you think about the like literally hundreds of other blockchains and tens of foundations that really matter, we're trying to work with everyone to bring all of that functionality into the secure self-custody of Ledger.
Amazing. And 2 more questions. What would you think about a Bitcoin-only ledger? Because there's many people who are like Bitcoin maxis, right? So do you see ever something happening like that ever?
I think that if someone offers you that, it's security theater.
Okay.
And we don't do security theater. What makes Ledger special is it is the only open development environment, operating system and open development environment on smart card technology on the planet. And what that means is you can build arbitrary applications on it. So one of them is the Bitcoin app, and you could build anything else. If I'm LVMH as an example, I could build a secure enterprise application on the Ledger platform. That's actually what makes Ledger unique. If somebody tells you that they've locked it down to Bitcoin, to be honest, it's a lie. You're buying marketing at that point, and that's not what we do. We do real security with real security experts, and and the code is open source and verifiable, and you can look at the code for the Bitcoin application. You can look at the code for the loader of your ledger, and if actually we sell a Bitcoin only ledger. You buy a ledger and you only install the Bitcoin app on it, and now you have a Bitcoin only ledger, and it's real. It's not theater. It's real, and it's you, the user, who has that choice. It's not a marketing person who made that choice for you. I mean that's really our preference. It's worth mentioning that we do have a Bitcoin edition Ledger Flex, and we do something real with it, which is when you buy a Bitcoin edition Ledger Flex, we take $5 and donate it to Brink for Bitcoin Core Dev. We're Bitcoiners. We know Bitcoin is the main event, and so Bitcoin is important to us. But supporting Bitcoin is important to us. It's not a marketing word for us. It's a DCA is what it is. You know what I mean? So
amazing. And to finish, a little personal question: what ecosystem do you like? What coins do you like? Maybe you can tell us.
I mean, for me personally, I DCA Bitcoin on a weekly basis. I come from digital music. I work with artists my whole life. I love digital art. I love generative art. So I'm super active as a collector in the Ethereum ecosystem, in the Bitcoin ecosystem, mostly in generative art. So I'm not necessarily chain specific. I follow artists more than in other words, like I love music. I don't love compact discs. Yeah. It's when we talk about music, we don't talk about the technology. We talk about the art. We talk about the artists. So for me, I'm a Bitcoiner and an art collector, and that's primarily. I'm not a speculator.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate your time, and hope to see great things from Ledger. I can see that many things coming in the near future.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your time, and thanks for being here.